Mel, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. We're going to talk about Bitcoin, MSTR Coinbase, as well as the miners. The reason why I want to talk about today is something pretty important today, which is the monthly close. A lot of these stocks basically have closed their September candle, as well as the Q3 candle. So the 3 month candle has also been closed already. Bitcoin is going to close this Q3 candle and September candle in about 3 hours or so. So I just want to talk a little bit about the price action, what I'm seeing, what I expect to move forward. First of all, I think it's very, very nice that Bitcoin closed yesterday's with the weekly candle as the three white soldier pattern. These things generally favor bullish continuation, but usually after three white soldiers, you do end up having a little bit of a cooling down candle, which is exactly what we're having right now. And that could go a little bit lower potentially, but I do think that overall there's a little bit of a reverse trend change. You do see a little bit of a higher high here compared to the high over here. I would also argue it depends. Some people don't like to count this flush out wick, but I still think they're important price action. But if you count this wick down here below, then technically this is also a higher low, right? So higher highs and higher lows. There's a change in character here in terms of what Bitcoin's doing here on the weekly chart, and this is also very apparently on the daily chart too, where basically if you see this, it looks like a very, very nice double bottom, and it basically looks like a breakout of this double bottom zone. This is a very important horizontal zone that dates all the way back to maybe like May, right? And you can see that basically it already broke out of the zone and doing a little bit of a back test. Over here it failed and it broke down, right? Over here it looks like it might be holding, and as long as it's holding, then you're flipping this resistance level here as support, and generally that is a very, very bullish thing, and it can actually mean that Bitcoin might be ready to run relatively quickly soon after this, if this just turns out to be a little bit of a back test of a breakout. The other thing too, I do think that maybe this is also just a little bit of retracement to the mean here of the 20-day moving average. It doesn't always have to touch it, during a start of a bull trend, sometimes it can get kind of close to it and be like, we retraced the mean, we're going to go up higher. It doesn't always have to touch it, but I think that that's kind of what I'm seeing here. Could it go down a little bit further to kind of touch that 20-day? It's certainly a possibility, but I don't think it has to, right? On the weekly here, I also think that there's a possibility where we might have found a nice back test, a very nice kind of bottomy kind of area here, because the Super cloud seem to have served as support over here for today, right? And another support that it has, which it hasn't really touched yet, but it got really close to doing so, is the bull support band. This really looks very similar in terms of fractal compared to what happened back in last year, when you have a broke down of price underneath the bull support band. It was a little bit negative sloping here for a couple of months, and it served as resistance here for a couple of months, but eventually price just kind of went sideways and allowed the bull support band to turn from negative sloping to flat, causing vulnerability of this resistance level for it to kind of break out, and the rest is history, right? We're seeing some very similar morphology here. We break down the bull support band, and it served as resistance for about 3 months, and we finally broke back above, and basically right now it's just kind of like last week I've served a little bit of a back test here. I think this week got kind of close to it, right? So if we're able to bounce from here, the bounce can be pretty powerful after that, because you basically are flipping the resistance level here from resistance to support, and whenever that happens, that could serve as fuel for a further move to the upside. It's kind of what I'm seeing here overall on the Bitcoin chart. Now, I did make a post earlier on X here. I was telling you how I think that as long as the month closed about the Tenkan over here, the Tenkan is around $56,159. As long as it closes about a rising Tenkan, kind of like how it did over here, I think you might end up having like a little bit of a God candle potentially in October. It's just everything just kind of building up to that. Could it go down lower? Sure it can. Like I just mentioned, like I don't know where the tank is going to be next month. I guess we're going to find out here in a few hours. But it can potentially go down a little bit further and back to some of the stuff down below. Like where can it go? Well, it could go down to the Ichimoku cloud potentially. I think that would be like the lowest it goes. Maybe potentially even down here to the 55,000, 56,000. I think it's entirely possible. Do I think it's going to do that? No. It just looks like it just wants to form higher high, higher low. If it ends up doing that, is it bad? No, because that would just be another higher low, right? If it bounced from the Ichimoku cloud and go higher from here. But do I expect that? Do I think that has to happen? Absolutely not. I think that it's corrected sideways for far long enough. It's done so for about 7 months now. Everybody's expecting this to be a range. It's not going to get stuck in a range forever. It's going to get broken. And when it gets broken, it's going to be pretty powerful when it does. Right. Going back to the monthly chart over here. I think I have a Gann chart here. Do I? I might not have a Gann here. But that's okay. The overall theme is that this still looks like a big giant cup, and this looks like a very nice kind of little handle over here before further bullish continuation. This over here just looks like a bull flag. That's what it looks like. Now, getting into some of the other stuff here, I would like to show you MicroStrategy. I'm going to go through these relatively quickly because I don't want to spend too much time on each one of those. Initially, I was hoping that the monthly candle would close above this inside candle over here. You can see that right now we have 6 inside candles. I was hoping that this would be a breakout candle for the month of September. Looks like we're getting pretty close. Looks like it wants to break above, and it looks like this consolidation sideways for about 6 months could be over if it does that. And when it breaks above this inside candle, I think that it's going to have some pretty strong bullish continuation upwards, right? The sideways action here has been on declining volume. I really think that this is just reaccumulation zone, if you will. We have the candle for the 3-month candle closed here already. It's very important to look at this in a few ways here. First of all, just eyeballing it, looks like we're just kind of break above this wick zone over here and flip it from resistance around here to support. That's what it looks like, right? If you look at the Ichimoku, you can tell this very apparent. You basically had rejection here at the Tenkan and Kijun, and right now we're able to break through that, and we're back testing it. So we're flipping from resistance here to support. That means that we're allowing price to potentially go up a lot higher after this, right? And it's kind of important to have the 3-month candle close here as confirmation that, hey, maybe something big could be happening, which is kind of consolidating sideways here from these big volume breakout and low volume back test. So the next move is probably going to be up. It's a very nice look to it. Now, if you're looking at Coinbase, I think that Coinbase, let me see here. I think Coinbase, actually, let me go back to MicroStrategy here. I'm going to talk about a lot of these stocks here individually. What MicroStrategy here has done is basically just came back down and closed this gap over here. That's like basically all it's done. And right now there's not really any like daily gap that I can see from the past, right? So I think that this is a technical correction, came back down, closed the gap. And on top of that, it also has basically just gone way too far, way too fast outside of the daily Bollinger Band and just kind of closed back inside. All these things are healthy. Like there's nothing I'm really concerned about MicroStrategy. You look at how nice the Bollinger Band is opening up right now. The 20-day is pointing up. Most likely it's going to favor further bullish continuation. If you're asking me about how MicroStrategy is holding against Bitcoin, I'm going to say that MicroStrategy is holding extremely well against Bitcoin because this is the MicroStrategy over Bitcoin chart. You can see that it's just been really like outperforming Bitcoin ever since like May of 2022, and it looks like it's like this is not even an inside candle here. It looks like it just want to go higher against Bitcoin, right? And if you also put the Ichimoku cloud here on this ratio chart, you can see that clearly it's broken above the cloud, and look like MicroStrategy just want to continue to kind of outperform Bitcoin for the foreseeable future. Coinbase, what am I seeing here with Coinbase? Just very simple, high level look at it. Actually, let me go to the lower level because I think it's more important. It's really not doing too much, to be completely honest with you, on the lower time frame. Same thing, broke above the upper Bollinger Band a little bit too far overextended. We ended up just closing the day back underneath of it, right? Coinbase actually looks like it's got a little bit more volume to it, whereas the miners actually don't. It's actually quite interesting just looking at this. But if you're looking at a couple of things here, one is the week is just starting. And what I mean the week is just starting, you have an inside candle here for MicroStrategy. You have an inside candle here for Coinbase. You have an inside weekly candle so far on day 1 of the week on Mara, on CleanSpark, on Bitfarms, on Cypher, on Iron, on, well, I guess Wolf is not an inside candle, BTBT, right? Course is not, but Riot is as well. So pretty much like today, nothing happened today. Why did nothing happen today? Because there's really not much volume today. Like CleanSpark, really on declining volume. Mara, declining volume. Bitfarms declining volume, Cypher actually a little bit of a green candle here, but on declining volume, Iron declining volume, Wolf low volume, BTBT low volume, Cores low volume, Riot low volume, even HUT relatively low volume. So what I'm trying to say is that even though the miners look like they're just been extremely frustrating, just down like 8%, 7%, 6%, but there's really no volume. All it takes is just a little bit of volume to kind of kick in, and things can get reversed pretty quickly, right? And it's very important to look at this to understand this. The other thing too is to look at this is you look at the daily Bollinger Band. A lot of these miners and also even Coinbase, you already have kind of flipped the 20-day from a little bit from like resistance to support, right? Coinbase did that. CleanSpark is the 20 days a little bit negative sloping, but it looks like it could potentially flip that into support here, right? Mara has kind of flipped that into support. Bitfarm has kind of flipped that into support. Cypher way above that. Iron way above that. Wolf flipped that into support, right, from resistance. BTBT flipped that from resistance to support. Cores, it's been support all along. And even Riot is kind of flipping up from resistance to support, and HUT is doing the same. So all of this is basically just saying we're hitting up a Bollinger Band. We probably need to correct down here a little bit before further, bullish continuation. And all of this is basically saying that the downtrend so far, a lot of people are like really pessimistic. They think that miners are going to go down a lot more. There's not really any volume to support the move. And all of these weekly opening are all inside candles, which are kind of meaningless, if you will. Like they're not really telling you anything about price action. All of this is just inside candles, which to me actually favors a little bit more bullish continuation because they've just found like kind of like their lows, right? And if it is an inside candle, most likely you're going to end up pushing up with continuation further forward, just like this inside candle over here 2 weeks ago. Now, with that said, there's still a lot of other things that needs to be reclaimed. For example, pretty much all the miners and Coinbase, they're all underneath the bull run support band. You see how Bitcoin has reclaimed the bull run support band very convincingly, but Coinbase is under, CleanSpark is way under, Mara just got rejected last week, Bitfarm just got rejected last week, Cypher just got rejected last week and so far this week, Iron just got rejected this week and last week. Wolf is the only one that has flipped up from resistance to support, and it looks like it wants to go up higher. BTPT has also pushed that from resistance to support. It looks like it wants to go up higher. Cores, don't even mention it. It looks like it's never really been resistant. It just wants to keep going up higher. And Riot, way underneath of that, right? So most of these are either way underneath the bull run support band or it's getting rejected so far. So we still probably need a little bit more sideways, even though if Bitcoin goes like, pretty crazy. You might see some pretty big moves in like CLSK where it just kind of goes from like $9 all the way down to like 13 or something like that in a hurry. But that would be like a rejection zone. You also have a gap here, which is also going to be pretty strong resistance, right? So I can potentially see like these stocks making a very big move, get back to the bull run support band, and end up getting rejected, and then end up going sideways for a couple of months before going up. Even if Bitcoin does really well, I still think that IWM still needs to break its all-time high, and it still hasn't really done that quite just yet. The previous all-time high is all the way up here, and the exact number is going to be, let's see, 243, right? Right now we're around 220, so I think it still needs some work to kind of break back above there. Now, a couple other things too, do I think that these miners have bottomed? I do think that they've bottomed because of a couple of things I was looking at. One is just looking at 100-week moving average. For CleanSpark, it's been clearly served as very important resistance to support zone, and we just basically also flipped that again from resistance to support, right? I think that because of this, I think you're going to end up having some pretty impulsive move that might push it up to maybe like $12 to $13 here in a hurry sometime in October, especially if Bitcoin does well. Now, when that's going to happen, I don't know, but I do think that most likely CleanSpark has bottomed. Mara, same thing, 100-week moving average, support here, support, resistance, flip support, right? So I think that Mara probably has also bottomed here as well. Cypher has also used the 100-week as, from resistance to support. BTPT has also been hugging the 100-week moving average on the way up. So I think most likely these are just more or less kind of building a base for price to kind of go up a lot higher. Now, just a real quick summary in terms of how I think about the monthly close for a lot of these different miners. And to talk about the monthly close, I'm going to go to the monthly chart here, obviously. and you're going to bust out the 20-month moving average to kind of look through all of these miners. Coinbase is still very, very bullish because it didn't even touch the 20. It looks like it wanted to touch the rising 20. It didn't even have to use that as support. It just bounced, right? CleanSpark, we closed the month above the rising 20-month moving average. This is very important. This actually favors more of a bullish continuation. Mara also ended up closing above the rising 20. Bitfarms, same thing. Bitfarms basically, the same as Mara. Cypher, initially you were kind of dipping below that. You had a little bit of wick underneath. It was a little bit scary, but so far it's very convincingly closing above the 20-month moving average. Iron, don't even mention it. It's like way above of it. Wolf, way above of it. It doesn't even have to touch it, right? BTPT, what did it do? It came back to the 20, touched it, and bounced, right? Riot is the only big miners that seem to really be lagging. But even Riot, it has a little bit of like a nice doji. This could potentially be a reversal pattern. And the downtrend over here for the last 8 months has been on declining volume. There's a potential for Riot to push up a lot higher, right? The other way to kind of look at to see whether or not these has bottom, I do have like a lot of these different monthly Gann charts here. With Coinbase, it basically just bounced from the bottom of the arc. It closed a little bit underneath the top of the arc, but I think this is like a very nice hammer bottom here. Very nice tweezer here as well. These are generally pretty good bottoms. For CleanSpark, I think it got close to touching the horizontal zone over here. Basically, it's like a resistance here, breakthrough, and a back test, right? So I think it's probably bottom. Mara came back down, back test the horizontal here again, right? So pretty important zone. Bitfarms came back down, back test the arc, right? Turned the arc from resistance to support. Pretty important zone. Also, like all of these look like they're very nice tweezer bottoms, by the way, right? And then Cypher broke through the arc, got a little bit close, rejected over here at the top of the arc, came back down, back test the arc down here below, right? All of these are flipping resistance to support. Iron, what is it doing? Nice tweezer, bounce from the bottom of the arc over here. Wolf, what is it doing? It's a little bit underneath resistance here in it, but it's just been a little bit more of one of those that is a little bit overextended, but it could potentially end up just pushing through. But we are a little bit more at resistance here for Wolf, right? But like if you ask me whether or not it's bottom, yeah, I think it's bottom down here. That's kind of how I think about it. BTBT, again, came back down, back test the angle, 45-degree angle here, bounce, right? And you have the second month in a row, bounce back outside the arc over here. So BTBT also looks like it could potentially be ready to run. Cores, I don't have a monthly Gann, but I have a weekly Gann. It looks like already broken out from this arc. It looks like it wants to go up higher. And then Riot is one of those that, it didn't really touch the arc down here, but I think this could potentially be a nice hammer bottom that it needs before, further bullish continuation. And then finally, HUD8 also kind of looked like it's kind of got close to the arc over here. I think a lot of these are really, really getting close to having a breakout. What I mean by that is they found the bottom and they still have a lot of resistance about the need to test, right? For example, I was just telling you with CleanSpark, you still have a lot of these kind of like bullish support band above, Mara, bullish support band above, all of these still have a lot of resistance kind of above, right? But what I mean by breakout, just like how Bitcoin has done, sometimes all it takes maybe a couple more months to kind of flip like a negative sloping bullish support band to a little bit flat before pushing out. I think that these miners are going to have some pretty nice volatility to really try and get back to the bullish support band, turn it flat before going up higher. Mara, same thing. It might end up going sideways here for about a month or two before pushing up higher. And Bitfarm, same thing, right? Regardless, all of this are on hinge as to what Bitcoin is doing, and if Bitcoin breaks above the previous all-time high here around 73,000, and also on hinge in terms of what IWM is doing. If IWM is able to break back above this all-time high previously, all the way around 240s, then I think the miners are going to have a very, very fun time, because when they run, and when they run, it can happen within a couple months with these crazy moves. But they can also just consolidate sideways and just bore everybody. I do think that they've bottomed, and that's kind of how I'm positioned. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm not all in miners. There's a lot of inherent risks when it comes to that. These are trades, not investment for me. So I do want you to be a little bit careful in terms of hearing what I'm saying. But if you want to know my thoughts, I am positioned into them. I do think that they have all bottomed around the last month or two, and I do think that they still have resistance above them. But right now, at these levels, I think the risk-reward ratio skews towards reward. Anyway, gonna keep this under 20 minutes. What I'm trying to say, I'll just simplify it all here for you. What I'm trying to say is this: look at the monthly candles. If you have to choose to buy one of these and you're not sure what to buy, do you want to buy MicroStrategy? It looks like it's just been like forming a very nice move. I just want to go higher, but it also was on the last cycle one of the first one that got exhausted the earliest, because Bitcoin topped up here in November, but MicroStrategy topped out in February, like 10 months before that, right? So you have a risk of MicroStrategy having a little bit of burnout, but this is a bullish chart for sure. It favors bullish continuation. Do you want to buy MicroStrategy? Do you want to buy Coinbase, where it looks like a big giant cup with a nice handle over here and the tweezer bottom over here? Do you want to buy CleanSpark, big giant cup over here with a very nice handle over here and a hammer bottom, right? Do you want to buy Mara? It has a nice, invert head and shoulder pattern with a little bit of back test here. Looks like it wants to run up higher. Do you want to buy Bitfarms, which basically just looks like Mara? Do you want to buy Cypher? It looks like big giant cup, and it just wants like the handle that just wants to keep on pushing up above and go up higher. Do you want to buy Iron, which has already had this big nice cup over here with back test and a nice tweezer bottom over here? Do you want to buy Wolf, where there's a big giant cup and there's not really even like a handle per se? It looks like it's just back test the breakout zone over here. It looks like it just kind of want to go higher, right? When the signal is ready, when Bitcoin and IWM is ready. Do you want to buy BTPT, which basically looks like a big giant cup and like a two tiny handle over here? Do you want to buy that? Do you want to buy Cores, where it looks like it just wants to keep going higher? Or do you want to buy Riot, where it looks like it's just been kind of lagging behind a lot of the other stuff over here, but there's really no volume much down here on the downtrend? It looks like you could be, basically, how should I say that? You're basically trying to catch something that doesn't need to push as hard as the other ones compared to previous price action, but all it has to do is just go up to like the zone up here, and next thing you know, you 3x your money, right? Do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy HUD, where it's just kind of doing a little bit of a cup, another smaller cup, and maybe another smaller cup before pushing up higher? Maybe it lags behind the other ones, but it might be one of those that end up shining pretty well late cycle like it did last cycle. Do you want to buy any of these? I don't know, right? The way I see it, I'm not sure which one I like. So I have a little bit of MicroStrategy, I have a little bit of Coin. My big three are CleanSpark, Mara, and Bitfarms. I have a position on Cypher that has finally made it to my top 20 in the stock exposure, right? I have Irene, I have Wolf, I have a small position of BTPT. I can't choose. I cannot choose, because each one of these tell me something a little bit different. But to me, I think that if you give it enough time, because of the rising 20-month moving average that had been back tested on a lot of these, if you give them enough time, I think they're going to do pretty well. No guarantees. Not financial advice. Anyway, have a good one. Bye.